Howdy and welcome back to Celebrating Vintage Model Kits. Today we're going to continue our look at recognition models, spotter models, and today we're going to take a look at the ship side of things, the naval side. These are a series of die-cast models that were produced during the war. These are made for the U.S. Navy to help sailors and airmen be able to identify different types of ships, both allied and enemy, so that way they could report accurately and know what they were shooting at, or whether it was friendly or whether it was foe. So we're going to take a look at this series here. These are part of what would have been included in a large kit. They produced various different types of these ship recognition models, and these that are mounted on these wood blocks, wood bottoms here, were typically part of a series that would have been in a large wooden case that contained, a dozen, 2 dozen, depending on the size of the ships, within that case, and they were usually kind of grouped by nation, so that way you could pull the case and look at the ships for a specific combatant and start learning from them. So what we got here is a series of Japanese ships, and we'll start with this one over here, which is a small, almost like a sub chaser kind of ship. Maybe even a destroyer. This is part of the Ribiki class. DD would have been destroyer, so I guess this is a destroyer. It's also marked on the side of the ship here as part of the molding. As Ribiki class Jap DD, which DD was the U.S. Navy's code for destroyer. On the bottom, you've got a repetition of the Ribiki class, and you've got who made this. In this case, this was manufactured by Comet Metal Products in Richmond Hill, New York. Comet made a number of die-cast recognition models, not just ships, but they also made some land recognition models, such as tanks and trucks and jeeps as well. As you can see here, they're screwed into this wooden base that was painted in this kind of blue color. So that is your Ribiki class destroyer. Next up, we have a Japanese Yubari class, and let's see, I'm going to guess this is probably another destroyer. Doesn't give the class coding, but it does have Yubari on the side here. And then someone's written on here Jap Yubari. That would have made it easier to pull these out, because when these were in the cases, they were stuck in like this. So you couldn't see the bottoms or anything like that. So someone coming along and handwriting the name of the ship on there made it easier for them to pull it out. And then we've got just Yubari. Again, the information about Comet. Next up, we have the Notori class. And this got writing on the side as well. Notori class doesn't give the code. That looks like some sort of a larger destroyer. Notori class again by Comet. And next we have a Chokai CA. It says CA on here, which would have been like a light cruiser, but it does have on here CC, which would have been our standard cruiser. So it has Chokai and Maya, Jap CC. You can see they're pretty well detailed for such a small model. Can't quite make out the writing on the bottom of this one. It does look like Tokai and Maya on there too. Next up we have an EC. I think this is a battleship. This must have been one of their really old battleships because it looks like you got 2 gun turrets and you've got a series of guns down the side on casemates, which would have been the much older style, more like a World War I. And we've got EC class, and then you've got Jap, and it looks like it has BB there, which would have been standard size battleship. One of the things you really notice in this one is the what's called the pagoda style superstructures that really made the Japanese ships really stand out. Those real tall, skinny, stacked superstructures. But interesting, you've got gun turrets in the middle as well too. And this is another of the same ship, another EC class. And you can barely make out the maker information on here. So that's it for these. We're going to take a look at another set of a different type of cast metal recognition model, and those are coming up next. Okay, next up we have a series of loose ships. This is another way that these would have been issued in these different kind of a box. So you have the individual ships being issued for use. It's got the name of the ship on the end. And on the end here. Nothing on the bottom. As you can see, they were held together with some tape. So let's take a look at the first one here, which is Carrier Essex class. I'll take this one out. Looks like the mast has come off on this one. And here we have an Essex class carrier. Giving you a really good impression of what this ship looked like. There's no other markings on it. There's a number 10 on the inside. It doesn't have any other markings that I can see on the model itself. So that's your Essex. Next up we have your USS Cleveland, which I believe is a cruiser. This is this tissue, I believe, is modern tissue. These were packed with something, but not this tissue, I believe. I think someone's added this at some point. And here we have your Cleveland class cruiser. As you can see, these actually have rotating turrets, whereas the other ones were fixed. And these do rotate. But no markings on the side of this one. You do have a model number of 29. So that's your Cleveland. And this next one, it's a little bit of a mystery. It's it's marked on the end as being a German Moby something class. Then you have a King something handwritten there. And on this one end, you've got German Moby, I think it's Moby's class. And then on the top, someone's written British Fisher, maybe Kingfisher. And that may be what that says on the end. It's Kingfisher's on the end there. Because there are actually two models inside here. Unfortunately, I am not a ship expert. And here we have the first one. Kind of neat, it's got the little catapult aircraft on there. These turrets are fixed. And it does have some writing on the bottom, which, unfortunately, I just cannot make out. There's something stamped on there, but you can see this is molded a little differently than the others. And it appears to be stamped with some name, but I just can't make it out. So that's the first one. And then the second one is this one here. Same thing, it's got similar bottom. It appears to be something stamped or written right at the front here, right along here, but I just can't quite make it out. I would venture a guess that this is probably the German, because it's less detailed. And then this one, it's got a lot more detail going on with it, which would make sense for, you know, the ship that is part of your Navy, part of the Allied Navy. You'd have a lot more information on and be able to produce a better looking kit or model, whereas this other one is very simplified. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is the German ship and this is the British ship. But those of you who are ship experts, you'll let us know in the comments for sure. But pretty neat little ships. Put those back inside. And now we'll take a look at the next series. Okay, so this next grouping here has got a different type of box. And it's got a tape corner box as opposed to the nice glued corner box. And it does have the ship's name on the side. So this is French light cruiser La Galison something, and the tape covers it. Let's take a look at this one. And this one's lost some of its paint. Got a little bit of rust going. And this looks like Galleander. This is a lot easier to read than the other one was. So I don't think that might not match what's in here, because that does not look like the same name. And then next up we've got British light cruiser Southampton. fixed gun turrets on this. This kind of look like the other one. With that unfinished bottom and the name stamp. So that's your Hampton. And then, let's see, or Southampton. And then this one is French battleship Richelieu. I always thought this was a pretty cool looking ship. Looks very sleek and streamlined. Plus you got those big 4-gun turrets on the front, which I think are pretty cool. Very, very sleek looking ship. And this one you can read a little bit better. Looks like it's written here, Richelieu, and then there's also the stamping. So this one's a little bit better on there. And these are fixed turrets on this one. So that's this series. And we got one more series. A little bit different again. And we'll take a look at those next. And here's our final group. These are both British. This is the King George V, Class BB, which is the coding for battleship, and the Illustrious, Class CV, which is the code for aircraft carrier. Now, these are in a different type of box, and these are made by South Salem Studios, South Salem, New York, April 1943. Same thing with this one. So we'll take a look at the Illustrious first. You can see a very different style of making this model. And it does have it stamped on the side. Illustrious, CV, GR, GRBR for Great Britain, Illustrious Class. You can see that there. That's your carrier. And now let's take a look at King George V. If I'm not mistaken, I think King George V was involved in the sinking of the Bismarck. So we've got, again, the type molded into the side of the ship. This one does have rotating main turrets. Your main turrets and your secondary. Lots of portholes down the side. And here's the bottom side. So that's it for today for the ship recognition models. We'll continue to explore various different types of recognition aids, including models, books, various different ways that they taught recognition. I think this is kind of a fascinating area of military history that a lot of people don't know a whole lot about, but played a significant role. So hope you enjoyed this, and if you got any information you want to add about the ships that you see here, about recognition models themselves, please do so in the comments. There's a lot of knowledgeable people out there, and any additional information you can add is greatly appreciated. So thanks for watching, and have yourself a great rest of your day.